Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Firefly Season 1, Episode 2. Well, I say Season 1. Just Episode 2.
Maybe by the end you'll have gotten out of that habit.
I know.
When the crushing realization sets in once again.
It's called The Train Job. Full spoilers for the episode, obviously. And one of the things we have to point out here at the start is that it is the first episode that actually aired of Firefly.
Yes. Because
Fox are terrible. And I think they knew that when they wrote this, and I remember in the commentary them talking about trying to kind of somehow mention all the relevant things that people need to know, naturally in the script at some point. And I think they do their best, but ultimately you need to see Serenity first.
It helps, yeah.
Yes, and I mean the pilot, not the movie, obviously.
Yeah, I know. They really should have called that movie something different. That always annoys me.
In fact, I just wish the first episode was called just the pilot, and that would get around it.
Sure, but that was done years before. They could have called the movie something else.
What would you call it though? The brown coats?
I don't know. It's not up to me to name it. I'll tell you what. When we watch it again and it's fresh in my mind, I'll
Shiny?
come up with something.
Garam? In fact, I think this is the first episode. So, no. Kaylee said shiny in the last episode, but Zoe says it in this one.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that was that the first time someone said shiny? No, it wasn't. Kaylee said it last episode. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Of course she did.
So yeah, that's kind of had the challenge of being kind of a second pilot, which we're not really going to view it under that context, because I think it does okay in that context, but not. How could it succeed in that? Ultimately, we're just interested: is it a good episode? Does it advance things? Does it delve into the characters a little bit more? And we'll go from there. Opening scene is in a bar on some backwater moon somewhere, and it's Unification Day, so we're getting some mythology building going on right away in this episode. Yeah. It's the anniversary of Unification Day, which is when the Alliance seemingly won the war.
Yeah. Do you know what? This is one of those scenes where I might prefer it as the pilot.
Really?
Yeah, because obviously the first episode opens with the actual flashback to the war, right? This here, I think, is a much not neater but more natural way of introducing this. There was a war, and then you get the sense. Okay, Mal, he's like, oh hey, that's a nice brown coat you got there, and you get this sense that okay, he was on the losing side.
So would you put this scene at the start of the pilot and just keep the rest of the pilot more or less the same?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It gets murky once you start doing all that.
The reason why I say that is because I feel like all the introduction to River and Simon you have to have in that first episode.
You absolutely do, yeah. I don't mean in terms. Most of the pilot, I think, is better as a pilot.
As a pilot, yeah.
But this scene compared to the first scene from the actual pilot of establishing the war, I think I prefer this. It's a bit more subtle, and it's not just okay. Here's a war, and then we'll just flash forward.
I like this scene a lot because it gives you a lot of who Malcolm, Zoe, and Jane all are, and it also gives you some mythology because it sets up. Even if you've already seen the pilot, this is finding out Unification Day, right? We already know about the war, but this is Unification Day. You have this guy, kind of drunkenly, those smelly brown coats, the Great Alliance, won the war, blah blah blah, and Mal gets up and Zoe's like, sir? He's like, just getting another drink. And you can see in her eyes,
Not this shit again.
Yeah. Because one of my favourite parts is once the fight starts, and I think Zoe or someone shouts over to Jane, and Jane's like, they're fighting no war, but best of luck to you. And just keeps drinking. He gets involved eventually just because...
Classic Jane.
Yeah, just classic Jane. But it's a really funny moment, but it also sets you up for the sense of humour the show has as well, because there's this whole thing here where at the bar the guy's like, you didn't toast with me, your coat's a shade of brown. He's like, it was on sale, right? And then he's like, because the independents, the brown coats, they were pissants and cowards, and he's like, say that to my face, right? So he gets up and he gets all posturous and he's like, you're a pissant and you're a coward. What are you going to do about it? He's like, oh, nothing. I just wanted to get you to face me so she could get behind you. And then, and his demeanour completely changes to that Nathan Fillion charm. And then, Zoe just whacks him with the butt of her shotgun. And it's like, right there, this scene has established the personality of Mal, where he's willing to say the joke, even though he's having a very serious otherwise scene. Zoe being this kind of more level-headed sort of soldier. And then Jane just being kind of selfish and not wanting to get involved.
Jane's a wild card.
Right? and it sets up a sense of humor, and it sets up mythology for the. So even if you've seen the first episode, I think this is a good job of just kind of almost summing it all up again. Just very quickly saying, hey, this is the world you were introduced to. Here's just the bullet points.
I think is let's pretend that the pilot had actually aired first,
and let's be fair,
this was a week later.
Anyone who watches this now will watch it in the correct order because they're not insane.
I mean, watching it weekly, right, from the original, you know that you were going brand new into the show. It was airing in the correct order. Having a little summary on the second episode, that's not a bad idea.
It's not. No, it's good. It's good.
It's good because you typically don't have a great handle on everyone by the second episode of a show.
Exactly. So they end up spilling it onto the side. There's a kind of a cliff face just off in the front of this bar. And, they're kind of outnumbered. It's looking quite bad. He pulls out this big gun. There is one weird line here where the guy's been fighting. He's like, I'm thinking I'm going to put you down, dog. And I was like, that was a weird line. And every time he says it, every time I watch this episode, I always chuckle at that line because it's just so weird.
Yeah.
But the ship comes up behind them, and it's like, here's an introduction to the ship again as well. So here's all the elements kind of introduced.
Yeah, and then it's like, hey, this ship, it's we don't have weapons on this ship.
Yeah. It was just a joke because they tricked them into thinking that. And I love Mal's wave as the not the drawbridge, but
the deck.
The deck's like lifting up, and he's just giving this friendly little wave, and they fly off. And then it sets up some other things. Like right after that, you get like he looks for Kaylee, and the engine room's a mess, and he finds her in Anara's shuttle, and it sets up that Anara's a companion, and Kaylee's talking to her about it. And we get even some more stuff, new stuff, if you have seen the first episode, where it's like, oh, it's not so much about physical attraction. Companions choose their clients, but they do it based on like a connection where they think that they'll almost spiritually get something out of it. And so again, they're just adding little bits to this.
Yeah, more than just money.
And then on top of that, they even mention, reiterate the attraction between Kaylee and Simon, where she's like, I'm sure the doctor agrees you have pretty hair. It's like, no, you shut up. Do you think you'd like it up? And again, very naturally played and funny. And again, I actually love the joke at the end of this scene, because Mal comes storming in and he's like, Kaylee, I'm paying you to fix the engines, not get your hair done. We work before we play, blah, blah, blah. And he kind of fights with Anara a little bit. And he's like, hey, we're getting this job from this guy named Niska. We're going to this planet. And he has like a genuine moment here where he says, hey, you should probably stay on the ship. This is a very shady person in a very shady place. I don't want anything to happen to you. And he kind of, and she's like, oh, Mal, I didn't realize you could, be so, thoughtful or kind or whatever she says. And he walks out the shuttle and he walks back in and says, can I get my hair done? And it's just this punchline to the scene, but it's really funny.
It is,
So no, I really like it. I bet Connor wasn't expecting me to go scene by scene here, but
No, I wasn't. I thought we'd do our standard approach of, okay, let's just talk through it.
Firefly is too good.
I didn't sign up for this.
Oh, what's that from? I didn't ask for this. I never asked for this. What movie is that from? Oh my god.
I can picture it. Yeah, I can hear it.
Oh my god, that was a meme on the internet for like years. I never asked for this. Come on, Google.
Oh, it's the one from Deus Ex.
Yes, it's not a movie. Yeah, the game. Yeah. That was something people in the internet were joking about a lot. Yeah. Well, tough is my answer to that. So what I did skip over here is there's a.
Oh, for God's sake, we're going back.
Yeah, well, because it goes around Sonya. I mean, it doesn't really matter what order we do these in. It's just all the different scenes once we get back in the ship. River's having a nightmare.
Have you got notes there?
Yeah.
Are you looking at notes?
I've got notes.
What the hell?
Firefly.
Firefly. Oh god, I'm just gonna shut up and let you ramble for half an hour.
No, Firefly is important. We're doing this properly.
Doing it properly would be a normal review. This is extreme.
Connor, when the day comes that we do the already cancelled on Buffy and Angel, and that day will come.
It won't, because you're doing commentaries. It's fine.
Yeah, but eventually I'll finish those and I want to do it again, so we'll do already cancelled. When that day comes, there will be notes for Buffy. I'm warning you now. If you think I'm half-assing this, not a chance.
There's half-assing, and then there's extreme note-taking, and then there is a normal middle ground. Yeah, there is a place where, no, this is a normal review. We're going to watch the thing, we're going to talk about it, we're going to dissect it to a normal degree.
What dissecting? Because River's having nightmares, it's this kind of what she says 2x2 hands of blue a couple of times in the episode. But one thing that's notable though, when she wakes up, she actually accurately talks about the ship. She mentions the type of ship it is. She talks about the calibrators on it, all the all the nitty gritty numbers and stuff. And Mal walks in and says, "Hell, I don't even know all that." And I wanted to point that out because it's the start of she is super smart. She has all this knowledge. It's not just that she's intelligent. She has almost like an encyclopedia in her head of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I thought I was going to get an early night tonight.
It's going to be an early night. It's fine. Just don't fight me on it, and it'll be fine. And they also bring up that Mal means bad in Latin.
Oh, for Christ's sake!
They said that at one point.
I know, but this is a next level note taking. This is more than Twin Peaks level of notes.
It is not more than Twin Peaks. I ran out of page, so it only went up to about 2/3 in. I trusted myself after that. I didn't want to get a new page. I thought that's too much.
Oh, for God's sake. Taking notes is fine, but I'm not starting a new page.
Right, I wanted to talk about so Mal's getting patched up, or he's in the med bay with Simon, right?
Sure.
Actually, no, sorry, he's talking to Book. This is after he's talked to Simon, but Book's kind of talking about why he's there and how, and Mal's like, hey, if you're on this ship to thinking you can I'm your thing to fix, or I'm your your goal, just let that go. But he brings up, no, Mal, you're actually a good man. I mean, you did take in Simon and River. Why would you do that? And he says something like, they're kind folk, or they seem like they needed help. Right, and I don't necessarily think, even though Mal can get very sarcastic, I don't necessarily think even though I think there's some hidden meaning here to what he's saying, I don't think that that's necessarily ungenuine either. I think the way I read into this, because they're on the run from the Alliance, I think the idea is that deep down in his gut, if the Alliance want them, then it's not just so much that he's sticking it to the Alliance, even though I think there's an element of that. I think it's that if the Alliance care about this, and he inherently thinks the Alliance are evil or bad, or he fundamentally worries about what they're doing, that he deep down, his old sense of honor, essentially, and what he was fighting for in the war in the first place, is kind of still in there. And that's why he's, in a way, without saying it and without being too overt about it, does actually kind of want to assist in this chase, as it were, with Simon and River. So I think there was some character sort of stuff to glean from that response.
Sure.
Look, I'm watching it with a critical eye. I'm analysing scenes. I'm analysing what characters are saying.
I analyse things as well, just not to this extent. I didn't think we were taking it this seriously.
Well, for next episode,
Oh, for God's sake. I'm not taking notes.
You don't have to take notes. I'll take the notes. You don't have to take notes.
Don't need notes. We can just talk about it.
You are tripling the length of this review by complaining about me taking notes. Yeah. So, you want an early night? Shut up and just have the conversation.
Fine. What scene's next? Because we haven't even started the plot of the episode yet.
Okay, so the main plot of the episode is Nishka. They go to Nishka, and we get this big guy with tattoo. He's like, but it's not him. We've got this foreign accent guy, Nishka, who is hiring them for a job on a train. Hence the title of the episode, The Train Job. And a big part of this is that he's got a reputation for being kind of nasty, and Mal's got a reputation for getting the jobs done. And I really love the scene, actually, because I think there's a potential for a lot of the villain of the weeks to come off as kind of cheesy or whatever. I think he actually has just the right amount of menace.
I think he's kind of cheesy, personally.
You think he's kind of cheesy? Well,
I do. I don't necessarily mind. I'm a lot more open for cheese than you are most of the time.
I mean, I'm not saying I think cheesy can work in a Whedon show. It can. Many a villain has been cheesy on a Whedon show, but
yeah.
I don't mind Nishka, actually. I think the build up to revealing that they've got someone tied up, and so this is what will happen to you if you don't do the job, right? Because I like the point that he makes is now my reputation isn't just gossip and hearsay. Now it's solid. Now it's something you understand and know is true. I love the little gag though, where he says that's his wife's nephew. I'm going to get an earful about this at dinner, but
yeah,
I didn't change anything. Yeah. So I really like that. So they take this job, and it's on a moving train, and it's like a floating train. It's like, futuristic kind of, not connected to the ground.
Some magnets.
On magnets, sure. It's a magnet train. And Mal and Zoe are on the train. Jane's going to lower down from the ship. And they've got this heist, and they've got a bunch of Alliance troops on board, which, by the way, I mean, every Firefly fan knows this, really, but all those uniforms, they're all leftovers from Starship Troopers. If you go back and watch Starship Troopers, you'll recognise those uniforms.
I think it's pretty glaringly obvious immediately. Yeah. Like it doesn't take much more than a cursory glance to be like, yeah, I've seen those before.
If you've seen the movie, if you haven't seen the movie, then it's just a bit of trivia. It's like, oh, fair enough. Maybe I'll watch that someday for the laughs. And it's them sort of sneaking through and getting to the goods, but of course something goes wrong. There's a bit of a shootout, and Jane just leaves with the merch. So one joke in here I really liked was when they're walking up to the goods, and they walk past the Alliance officers, and Zoe says, because Mal says, "Oh, this makes it more fun." He's like, "What? Fun? What? Hey, can I have your share if you're just in it for the thrill?" And he's like, "No. If you die, can I have your share?" Sure.
Yeah.
That's a really funny line, isn't it?
It is. I like the way he thinks about it for about half a second.
Yeah, he's just like, "Am I okay with that?" "Yeah, I'm okay with it."
It's like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. This is cutting back and forth though with other stuff on the ship as this is all happening, and there's a scene between Inara and Book. Again, establishing they have some kind of chemistry, despite the fact that they're both very, opposites on the ship in terms of who they are. We find out that Inara's been there for 8 months, and the Book wants to help in some way. And I like the delivery here from Ron Glass, because he's kind of like, I want to help. I mean, I don't want to help, not with the thievery, but I want to help in some way. And Inara says, "Well, why don't you pray for like their safe return?" And he's like,
"Don't think Mal would like that very much."
And she's like, "Well, don't tell him then." And she says, "I never do."
Yeah.
Implying that she does care, for one, and that she also maybe is somewhat religious and does pray to something. Yeah. So, that's some interesting character, because I think
are there multiple religions? I don't recall a lot about actual religion in the show beyond shepherds.
I think there is. I think there is. I think what separates like this show from a lot of because we were just having a conversation when we were reviewing an episode of S.H.I.E.L.D. about network shows and how they've kind of lost this, and there's not as many good ones anymore. Is I think that even though this is still doing a very much like a network TV plot, right? You've got this job, this heist, and there's going to be like a consequence to it, and what do the characters go through, blah blah blah. Like, each of these scenes is packed with some vital information that tells you something about the characters. It's so well written. And even though the plot itself is nothing to sing about, it's fine. It's just a simple little job.
It's a heist.
Yeah. The scenes tell us so much about the characters that it's still very engrossing in what it's doing. Like, I'm always kind of into, the moment itself and what's going on. Even if, I don't really care, it's a train heist, but it's cool all the same. But one of my favorite lines in the episode is, just before Jane lowers into the train, he puts on his goofy hat and says it's time for some Fillion heroics. That's a great line.
I like how it's still playing into those Western themes, because a train heist is a very classic Western thing, right?
But it's a floating sci-fi space train.
It is, yeah. But again, it's still it's still playing into those core ideas.
And and even that scene with them, before they lowered down with Kaylee and Simon, again, it reestablishes the relationship, another key relationship on the ship, which is Simon and Jane, and how they're opposites, and how Jane is thinking about turning him in for the reward money, and he's like, "Oh, the captain's thinking of that too. You're just dead weight. There's profit in it," kind of thing. And it settles it up, and Kaylee's trying to no, be nice, and again, it very wisely has all these little individual scenes in this episode to just reestablish how each pair of characters interacts with each other.
Yeah, definitely.
You get a lot of pairs of them. There's not actually a lot of Wash in this episode, though, funnily enough. Wash doesn't really come into it until the back half of the episode, bizarrely.
Yeah, he has the one moment early on when he rescues them from the bar brawl.
Yeah.
And then not till near the end.
It's not until they've all been separated and they're coming up with plans.
Until everything's gone wrong.
Basically, because they don't get off the train, Mal and Zoe end up in this town where the train was going, And we find out that what they were actually stealing was the medical supplies going to this town, because they've all got this disease, which is perfectly curable. It's because they're all miners. They've got something that perfectly, is treatable and they can live full lives. But they've just hijacked the shipment, so now they're all desperate and dying.
And now they feel kind of shitty.
Yeah, but the key point here, of course, is that this is the sort of people that Mal was once upon a time fighting for, and
Yes.
he can't just let this go. And it's one of the things I like actually at the end of the episode is when they do bring them back, because that's the choice they make, is to just bring the goods back. They try and give Nishiki his money back. There's that really funny scene where they kick the big guy into the turbine or the engine. Really funny. And the next guy's like, oh, yeah. Take the money back to Nishika. Right there with you. Yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah, no problems here.
But, when they show up and the sheriff just is like, yeah, I think, people do a lot for work, but, maybe once you realize what that work was, you change your mind. And he lets them go. He doesn't, it's like, yeah, we'll take the supplies and say no more of it. And I think it gives you a couple of things here. Obviously, it gives you Mal making that choice as his the noble parts of his character
are more important than the money.
Yeah, which again, he's the thief with the heart of gold, right? Simple archetype, but it works.
Yeah.
But it also tells you something about maybe some of these planets, some of these people that we'll interact with, that some of them will be receptive to that. Some of them will not just,
not just go, right, you're a criminal.
Yeah.
Look, yeah, okay. We respect that you were trying to make a living. It's pretty shitty out here.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you didn't. So we'll let you go.
What actually? One of my favorite, maybe my favorite funny line of the whole episode actually, is when they're being interviewed. They're pretending to be a married couple, Mal and Zoe, and they're finding out. That's where we get all the exposition about the disease from the sheriff or whoever, and he's explaining all this stuff, and he's like, "I've even got it," and blah blah blah. And one of the parts of the cover story is, Joey Biggs, he, we were told he had work out here, or something. Our father-in-law, or my uncle said, that Joey Biggs may have an opening for you, so we're out here for that. And this is early on in the scene, and at the end of the scene, the sheriff being kind of suspicious is like, well, hey, so you said Joey Biggs is the one you were told to come to. I mean, that's funny because he shot himself 8 months ago, and Mal, there's a quiet pause, and Mal just goes, "Oh, would his job be open?" That broke me, that line, because I'd forgotten about it. It's been so long since I watched the episode that I forgot that line was coming, and it really made me laugh.
Yeah, that one got me good as well.
Yeah.
It's that pause before the delivery.
I think it's also, again, Fillion just drops the demeanor and just does this really genuine kind of
borderline cheesy
voice, but it really works. It really works. Yeah. And it's actually Anara who comes and gets them because she's got some class to her. She's got some cred because she's a companion. So she comes in and takes them out, and they do this whole cover story where she's there to, because Mal's ran off with her money, so she slaps him in front of everyone. So when they get back in the ship, Mal walks on and is like, "She hit me." But hey, this episode's full of funny stuff though, because whilst they're away, Jane is basically saying he's captain, he's next in rank. So they're going to go off and drop off the goods, and he's getting very aggressive, he's being very threatening. So Simon just dopes him, so he'll knock out.
Tranks him, yeah.
So there's some funny stuff here when he first falls over where Wash is like, "Wait, did he just go crazy and then fall asleep?" But
it sounds like, I thought it would kick in sooner.
Yeah, and he's like, I hope that's all right with everyone, but I didn't really feel comfortable with him being in charge. And then everyone's just like, yeah. For everyone.
And then when Mal and that get back, and he's just slumped over on the stairs, still passed out, and they're like, it was a lot heavier than we thought.
Yeah, he's like slumped out over the stairs, and then when Mal comes back on the ship, he's like, "We're waiting for you." "We're waiting for it," as if he made the choice to wait.
He still says captain at the end, though.
He does say captain, and then they get into the kerfuffle with the mercenaries from Niska, and he actually saves Mal by shooting the bad guy in the leg, and he's like, "Oh, nice shot, Jane," because he's still slumped over. He's just got his gun kind of he's like, "I was aiming for his head."
Yeah. And Mal's like, "Well, that could have gone a lot worse then." just it doesn't say anything, just the look on his face, right? Yeah.
No, it's full of really funny stuff. I think the episode's really smart because the other big thing that comes out of the whole train plot is that the Alliance don't even care. They're like, well, because we get one scene back in their one of their command bases where the guy's like, they're stealing some medicine. You know what? That's not worth our effort. Let's just get the soldiers back in the train, move on.
And the chef's like, hang on, you got a whole platoon of soldiers right here. Can't they do something like, they got more important things to do?
They don't care. Yeah, they don't give a shit. It's like, yeah, the supplies were for here, but ultimately beyond that, we're not going to care about you. And because I think one of the things that it's doing is it's gradually building up reasons why we can't trust the Alliance. Like, this is why Mal and Zoe and the Browncoats were fighting them. It's because of things like this. It's this lack of caring about people. Yeah. And I think so. Again, mythology-wise, it sets up them as being these bigger villains. It sets them up as being, and villains is even a weird phrase. Obviously, there's some people high up, and there's some particular villains
that are villainous.
Yeah. But at least as a whole, they're very just ignorant and uncaring. And
they're just essentially a terrible government.
Yeah, and that's what they were fighting over, and so. I think that's really smart. That does that stuff, and of course the tease from River, 2x2 hands of blue. At the end of the episode, the people who made that call on the ship get this visit from these two guys wearing blue gloves, the 2x2 hands of blue, and they are specifically hunting River. They're like, have you seen this girl? We're looking for her.
Yeah.
So it ties into what she's been seeing in her head, which is our first sign that maybe there's more to what she's seeing, other than just having knowledge.
Because everything else has just been. Oh, she's been remembering. You've got great memory, essentially, right? With the ship, it's okay. She's read those specs somewhere.
Yeah.
But this is like, no. How could she have known that?
Yeah, this is the first inkling that she might be psychic, or have some kind of telepathy, or have some kind of visions, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So it's a neat ending. Introduces the threat. It's kind of your hook. The one thing actually that this doesn't try to reintroduce is the Reavers, which I think was a smart move. I think that'd have been too much in this episode.
Oh yeah. It was borderline too much in the double episode.
Yeah, I know. So I think this episode does a really neat job of reintroducing all the characters, making sure we understand who they all are, reiterating their relationships, taking them a little bit forward.
Yep.
Because there's one line actually when Jane's trying to get them to leave when they're separated from Mal and Zoe, where Wash just says, "I'm not leaving without my wife," and it doesn't feel forced. It's a natural line, but I also thought that's really smart. Make a point of saying that's his wife, because
I think it might be the only time in the episode it mentions their relationship.
Yeah, and it's fine that they're not putting anything else in, because again, it would be out of place. There's not enough time for it.
Yeah. I just mean in terms of treating it as a second pilot, it's just they're married.
Yeah, which actually reminds me of when Mal says, "Oh, remember we're married," to Zoe when they're in the cells or in the station. And she's like, "Married, sir?" I was like, "Yeah." It's like, cover, yes, sir. Honey, yes, I mean honey.
Yeah.
Yes, dear.
She's so used to just sir, captain.
Yeah. So that's a really really good job in that sense as well. Mythology building, character building, re-establishing a bunch of stuff, setting up a villain that we will see again, which is nice. He will want his payback. We'll get to that at some point later in the season. And again, I think sets up the problems that we're going to have with Jane. Like, Jane is out for himself.
He's just a bit of a dick and a bit of a scumbag, and he's there because he's paid.
Exactly, and he's willing to turn in Simon and River. He's willing to turn the captain. I mean,
I think, Joe, this is one of those rare things that shows a level of cowardice almost.
Mm?
He's not, even though he comes across as he's the big, brave, strong butch guy, right? He is not brave enough to dare cross Niska.
Oh yeah, he's scared pissless of him. Yeah.
He's like, no, I know what this guy can do. I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah. So again, more character building. Like I feel like after 2 episodes, I know these characters way better than I do. Like probably than I still know characters in Flash. Like it's been 5 seasons, and I feel like I know these characters better in 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's fair.
They do such a good job, and it's so playful. I feel like again, all the pairs we talk about, they all have at least one funny exchange where it's like, even if it's a dramatic relationship, there's always some fun to be had. There's always, Anara and Mal have the romantic tension, but they always have a joke as well.
Yeah, they do.
And it never feels forced, because it always comes off as that thing where you do crack jokes when you're kind of feeling not nervous.
But I think it just establishes itself as the tone of the show, so it's not forced if it's what the show is anyway, right?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Because it's so often, it's just that's just what this is.
I think specifically though, like Mal's sense of humor does seem specific to him, and it's not so much that the other jokes aren't also Whedon humor, because they are. But with him, it's specifically him making a joke. Whereas I feel like a lot of other times the characters
It's a bit more situational.
Yeah, like they like when Simon says, I thought it would knock him out sooner or whatever, that's not like him cracking a joke, but it's funny to us because of the context. So
yeah, whereas Mal does make actual jokes.
Yeah, he is cracking jokes left and right. Wash makes some jokes as well, of course, when the occasion calls for it. Yeah. So no, really good. Train job. I mean, did you like this episode as well?
I did. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, solid, really solid. So again,
there's a little bit generic in the plot, but that's all right.
That's fine, yeah. Especially this early on, you just want to give some people some comfortable plots.
Yeah, you get a good half a season of generic plots before I even start to.
We only get half a season, so.
And by that I mean, in this case, 6 episodes or so.
Yeah, but there's definitely some not generic episodes as well in this, so looking forward to those. So next time we will see you for Bushwhacked, if my memory serves me right. I've not checked, but I'm pretty sure that's the next one. And you can let us know. But see, that wasn't that long. It was 30 minutes.
Yeah. That's because you skipped over all the stuff in the station. I was quite worried that you were going to go through all of that in detail.
I mean, I think we mentioned all the major things from the station.
No, we did, but there was a point where we moved from they've stolen the stuff, and then we jumped ahead to what happens when they have to give it back at the end. And I was like, oh, thank God we didn't have to do the whole bit in order of them sat there in their cover story.
Sure. It just felt natural to talk about.
It did,
yeah.
But I wasn't putting it past you to have done it anyway.
Okay. I think we went back and talked about all that the station stuff that was relevant. Actually, there's a really nice moment. Just one little touch I wanted to mention.
I'm opening my mouth.
Is after Anara gets them out, and it stays in the sheriff with his deputy or whoever for a second, and he's like, "Did our story check out or her credentials?" And she's like, "Ran them twice," and he just sort of hesitates and just puts like, "All right, well, we'll start processing the others." But he's not. He has a feeling like he's feeling that something's
he's not convinced.
Yeah, there's something not quite right, even though it's checked out, and he's right. But I like that little touch is that he's clearly good at his job because
he's not willing to divert resources to just follow this. He's like, checked out. We've got other things we need to do. Because there could be another person that it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So really nice little touch, I thought.
Yeah.
So there you go. That is episode 2 of the Fireflies. We'll be back next time. I'll have notes. I'll have more notes maybe. We'll see.
God, I'm dreading the back half of this season when it gets to meat.
Just you wait for objects in space. Jesus Christ.
Oh God. What have I done? Patrons, what have you done?
So let us know what you think of the train job in the comments. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. You can get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, you can head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. We can support us for as little as $1 per month. The reason why this Firefly already cancelled exists is because we hit a goal on there. It's worth mentioning as well, you get exclusives, you get bonuses and stuff at the $1 tier and the $5 tier. The $5 tier specifically relevant to this, I think, is I do commentary tracks for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and will do Angel as well when I get that point.
Yeah, and we should mention the newish $10 tier, where once we get to the end of this show, you will get to be a part of the decision of what replaces it.
Yeah, you get to vote on what replaces this, because we'll do another already cancelled after this. Probably a longer show, I imagine, because this is only 14 episodes. So
most shows are longer.
Unfortunately.
Even most shows that only get one season tend to be longer.
Fox are like my mortal enemies. You know that?
Yeah, I know. I do.
Rupert Murdoch, man. Not that he made the call personally, but still, it all goes up to the top.
He's responsible.
Yeah. So
he could have pulled an Amazon and stepped in personally.
Yeah, he could have pulled some strings if he wanted to.
Yeah.
But he didn't, so he's on my shit list. So that is episode 2 of Firefly. Thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Did I come up with a specific thing for this last time?
You did, yeah. It was the betrayal.
Yes. Yes, it is. So, keep watching Firefly, guys. We'll see you next time. And curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.